The desperate call commander Thyax pressed his crystalline fingers against the cold surface of the command console, watching helplessly as another system indicator turned from blue to red. The bridge of the cosmic wanderer had become a symphony of warning alarms and failing systems, each sound marking another step toward their inevitable doom. His translucent body flickered with patterns of deep concern, the natural bioluminescence of his Xanthari species betraying emotions he tried to keep controlled. "Commander, we have lost another power coupling," reported Engineer Corvin from his station. The massive Brutock's usually steady voice carried an edge of panic that made Thyax's crystalline heart sink even deeper. Corvin stood nearly 3 meters tall, his thick gray hide marked with scars from a lifetime of dangerous engineering work. But even his tremendous strength meant nothing against their current enemy. Dr. Nalara emerged from her specialized water tank at the science station, her aquatic form shimmering as she transitioned to her breathing apparatus. The simp scientist's gill slits fluttered rapidly with stress as she delivered her report. "The energy parasites are multiplying exponentially, Commander. They are consuming our power faster than our reactors can produce it. At current rate, we have perhaps 2 hours before complete system failure." Navigator Pixie, barely the size of a human child but glowing with nervous energy, zipped around the bridge in erratic patterns. The glimmer being's natural luminescence pulsed in rapid bursts of yellow and orange, her panic visible to everyone. "Commander, I have calculated trajectories to 17 different systems. The closest coalition rescue vessel is 4 days away, even at maximum warp." Thyax felt the weight of command crushing down on his crystalline shoulders. They were explorers, not warriors. The Kepler Research Consortium had sent them to investigate strange energy readings in the void sector, the empty region of space between the major galactic civilizations. What they had found instead were creatures unlike anything in the galactic databases, invisible entities that fed on energy itself, turning their own technology against them. The parasites had first appeared as minor power fluctuations, easily dismissed as equipment aging. But within hours, they had spread throughout the ship like a technological plague. Every system they touched became corrupted. Every power source they encountered became food. The ship's weapons were useless against enemies they couldn't see or touch, and their shields only seemed to attract more of the creatures. "There must be something we can do," Corvin rumbled, his massive hands working frantically at his engineering console. "Perhaps if we jettison the main reactor, create a distraction while we escape in the shuttles." "The shuttles are also infected," Nalara said sadly, her aquatic features drooping with despair. "The parasites have spread to every system with a power source. We would die in space before any rescue could reach us." Pixie suddenly stopped her frantic movement, hovering in the center of the bridge with an expression of terrible realization. "Commander, there is one possibility we have not considered. The Sol system is only 18 hours away at maximum emergency power." The bridge fell silent except for the continuing alarms. Every being present knew about the Sol system and its quarantined inhabitants. The humans were a species that the Galactic Coalition had deemed too dangerous for contact after disastrous first encounters 50 years ago. They were violent, unpredictable, and came from a world so hostile that other species had termed it a Deathworld. The official records painted them as barely civilized savages who solved every problem with violence. "Absolutely not," Thyax said immediately, his crystalline body flashing with negative red patterns. "The humans are quarantined for good reason. They are dangerous beyond measure. The Coalition Council has made it clear that any contact with them is forbidden." "Commander," Dr. Nalara said gently, her voice carrying the weight of scientific logic, "we are going to die. The parasites will consume everything, and we will suffocate in the dark. At least with the humans, we have a chance." "What chance?" Thyax demanded. "The humans will probably kill us themselves, or worse, take our technology and use it for whatever violent purposes they pursue. The reports from First Contact were clear about their nature." Corvin looked up from his console, his usually gentle eyes filled with desperate determination. "Commander, I have 3 younglings waiting for me on Brutock Prime. Dr. Nalara has research that could revolutionize galactic medicine. Pixie is barely past her first energy molt. We owe it to ourselves and our families to try everything. As, if summoned by their conversation, another cascade failure rippled through the ship. The lights dimmed further, and the artificial gravity fluctuated, causing everyone except Pixie to stumble. The parasites were accelerating their consumption, perhaps sensing the crew's desperation. The life support has maybe 90 minutes left, Nilara reported after checking her instruments. After that, we will have perhaps 30 minutes of breathable air. Thiax looked around at his crew, seeing the faces of beings he had come to consider family during their 3-year mission. Corvin, whose children sent him drawings that he kept carefully preserved in his quarters. Nilara, who had discovered 2 new forms of cosmic algae that could revolutionize food production. Pixie, who dreamed of mapping every star in the galaxy, and had the talent to actually do it someday. If we contact the humans, he said slowly, and they respond, what then? Do we simply trust that they will help us instead of enslaving us or stealing our technology? Commander, Pixie said, her small voice carrying surprising wisdom. Trust is a luxury we cannot afford, but death is certain if we do nothing. Thiax closed his eyes and felt the patterns of decision crystallize in his mind. He was trained to make hard choices, to weigh risks against benefits with mathematical precision. The mathematics were clear. Certain death versus possible survival, even if that survival came with terrible risks. Very well, he said finally, his body flickering with the blue-white patterns of resolved determination. Pixie, prepare a general distress signal. Include our position, our situation, and our urgent need for rescue. Do not identify our species or our mission details. Should I mention the nature of our attackers? Pixie asked, already working at her navigation console with renewed purpose. No, Thiax decided. If the humans are as violent as the reports suggest, they might see the parasites as potential weapons to study rather than threats to eliminate. The distress signal was simple and desperate. Mayday, Mayday. Research vessel in critical distress. Unknown energy-based entities attacking. Ship systems. Life support failing. Urgent assistance required. Will transmit coordinates on response. Pixie sent the signal toward the Sol system, and then they waited. The minutes crawled by with agonizing slowness, marked by the steady degradation of their ship systems. The parasites seemed to sense that their feeding time was limited and redoubled their efforts, causing power failures throughout the vessel. Then, impossibly, a response came. Research vessel, this is Captain Elena Vasquez of the Earth Defense Ship Retribution. We have received your distress call and are already en route to your position. Estimated arrival in 6 hours. Maintain life support and prepare for emergency boarding. Do not attempt to move your vessel. Earth is coming. The bridge erupted in a mixture of relief and terror. 6 hours. Somehow, impossibly, the humans could reach them in 6 hours when the nearest coalition vessel was still days away. The implications were staggering and terrifying. How is that possible? Corvin whispered, his engineering mind struggling with the physics involved. Even our fastest ships cannot cover that distance in 6 hours. Perhaps, Dr. Nilara suggested quietly. The reports about human capabilities were not entirely accurate. Thiax stared at the communication console, wondering what they had just invited into their lives. The humans were coming, traveling at speeds that defied galactic understanding of physics. They would arrive with technology and capabilities that had been hidden from the galaxy for 50 years of quarantine. As another system failed and the lights dimmed further, Thiax realized that their rescue was going to come with a price. The humans had been isolated, dismissed, and forgotten by the galactic community. Now, when desperate aliens called for help, Earth was responding with capabilities that suggested their isolation had not made them weaker. It had made them stronger. 3. Cosmic Wanderer drifted in the darkness of the void sector, its crew clinging to failing life support, while invisible parasites devoured their technology. Somewhere in the distance, human rescuers raced toward them at impossible speeds, carrying unknown intentions and unimaginable capabilities. Thiax had made his choice. Soon he would discover the true cost of asking Earth for help. The price of salvation. The first sign of the human arrival was not visual or auditory, but rather a sudden cessation of the energy parasite's feeding frenzy. Throughout the Cosmic Wanderer, systems that had been failing for hours suddenly stabilized. Warning alarms stopped their incessant wailing, and the ship's emergency lighting flickered back to a steady glow. "Commander," Dr. Nalara called out from her science station, her aquatic features showing amazement and confusion. "The parasites have stopped feeding. They are not dead, but they have become completely inactive." Before Thyax could respond, Pixie's voice cut through the bridge with barely contained excitement. "Commander, I am detecting a vessel approaching. It is massive, easily 3 times the size of our ship, and its energy signature is completely unknown." Through the viewport, the human vessel materialized from what seemed like empty space. The Earth defense ship Retribution was a thing of dark beauty and obvious power, its hull a deep matte black that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Strange protrusions and antenna arrays covered its surface, and weapon ports were clearly visible along its length. This was not a ship built for exploration or peaceful contact. This was a warship. "Cosmic Wanderer, this is Captain Elena Vasquez. We are prepared to dock and render assistance. Please prepare your airlocks and gather your crew in a central location." The voice that came over their communications was crisp, professional, and carried an undertone of absolute confidence that both reassured and terrified Thyax. The human captain spoke as if energy parasites that had stumped galactic science for centuries were merely a minor inconvenience. "How did they stop the parasites?" Corvin asked, his massive form bent over his engineering console as he tried to make sense of the readings. "I am detecting some kind of energy field emanating from their ship, but it operates on principles I do not understand." The docking process was smooth and professional, completed with a precision that spoke of advanced technology and extensive training. When the airlock cycled open, the humans who entered the Cosmic Wanderer were nothing like the savage barbarians described in Coalition reports. Captain Elena Vasquez was a tall woman with steel-gray hair and eyes that missed nothing as they swept across the bridge. She wore form-fitting armor that seemed to be made of some advanced composite material, and her movements had the fluid grace of a trained warrior. Behind her came 3 other humans, each obviously specialized for different functions but all carrying the same aura of dangerous competence. "I am Dr. Marcus Chen," announced the second human, a man with kind eyes and gentle movements, who immediately approached Dr. Nalara. "I am here to ensure your crew receives proper medical attention. I have studied simp physiology and can see that your gill membrane is showing signs of stress." The third human, a red-haired woman with calloused hands and sharp eyes, nodded. To Corvin, "Chief Engineer Sarah O'Brien, I need to examine your power systems and determine the extent of parasite damage." The fourth human, a young man with alert eyes that constantly scanned for threats, simply positioned himself near the bridge entrance. Tactical Officer James Wright, I am here to ensure everyone's safety during the operation. Thyax found himself face-to-face with Captain Vasquez, who studied him with the same clinical attention he might give to an interesting crystal formation. "Commander Thyax, I presume. Your distress call mentioned unknown energy-based entities. We have neutralized them for now, but we need to discuss the nature of what you encountered." "You neutralized them?" Thyax asked, his crystalline body flickering, with patterns of disbelief. "These creatures have been consuming our technology for hours. Our best scientists could not even detect them properly." Captain Vasquez smiled, but it was not a reassuring expression. "Commander, what you encountered were not natural creatures. They were escaped bioweapons from a classified research project. Specifically, they were developed by the Galactic Coalition as part of a secret program to create technological warfare. Agents." The bridge fell silent except for the hum of restored systems. Dr. Nalara's aquatic features went pale, and Corvin's massive hands stilled on his console. Pixie's natural luminescence flickered between colors of shock and fear. "That is impossible," Thyax said, his voice carrying the absolute certainty of his crystalline logic. The Galactic Coalition has strict prohibitions against biological weapons research. The Covenant of Species specifically forbids such programs. Dr. Chen looked up from his examination of Nalara, his expression grim. Commander, what do you think the Void Sector is for? Why do you believe this region of space has been declared off-limits to civilian traffic? The Coalition has been conducting illegal weapons research here for decades. Chief Engineer O'Brien called from her examination of the ship's systems. Captain, the parasites were definitely artificially created. Their energy consumption patterns are too efficient, too targeted. They were designed to disable specific types of technology while leaving others untouched. Which explains, Captain, Vasquez continued, why your research vessel was so easily overwhelmed while our ship's systems remain unaffected. The parasites were programmed to target Coalition technology specifically. Thyax felt his crystalline structure resonate with the implications of what the humans were telling him. If true, it meant that the Galactic Coalition, the organization that claimed to represent peace and cooperation among species, had been secretly developing weapons of mass destruction in violation of their own laws. Why are you telling us this? He asked. If the Coalition has been conducting secret research, why would humans reveal this information to us? Captain Vasquez walked to the viewport and gazed out at the starfield beyond. Because, Commander, 50 years ago when the Coalition quarantined humanity, they made a critical error in judgment. They assumed that isolation would make us weaker. Instead, it gave us time to develop technologies and capabilities that they never imagined. Dr. Chen finished his medical examination and turned to address the assembled alien crew. During our isolation, we solved problems that the galaxy believed were impossible. We learned to detect and neutralize energy parasites. We developed faster-than-light travel that makes Coalition vessels look like sailing ships. We advanced our understanding of physics, biology, and engineering far beyond what any species has achieved. The question now, Captain Vasquez said, turning back to face Thyax, is what happens next. You called Earth for help and we responded, but help comes with a price. Tactical Officer Wright stepped forward, his hand resting casually on what was obviously an advanced weapon. The price is truth, Commander. Full disclosure of Coalition activities in the Void Sector, complete technical specifications of your research mission, and immediate transmission of all data regarding illegal weapons development to every species in the galaxy. Thyax felt his crystalline structure begin to resonate with stress patterns. The humans were not simply rescuing them from the parasites. They were using the rescue as leverage to expose Coalition secrets and break their own quarantine. And if we refuse? He asked, though he already suspected the answer. Captain Vasquez's smile became genuinely predatory. Then you can try to explain to the Coalition how you survived an encounter with their own bioweapons. I am sure they will be very interested in how you managed to neutralize parasites that were specifically designed to be unstoppable. Chief Engineer O'Brien looked up from her work on the ship's systems. Captain, I have finished the repairs. All systems are now operating at peak efficiency, and I have installed countermeasures that will prevent future parasite infections. Dr. Chen completed his medical examinations and reported that all crew members were in perfect health, their systems cleansed of any lingering effects from the energy drain. The efficiency and competence of the human team was both inspiring and terrifyingly impressive. They had solved in hours what should have taken days or weeks using technology that seemed like magic compared to standard galactic capabilities. Choose quickly, Commander, Captain Vasquez said, checking a device on her wrist. Coalition vessels are already en route to investigate the energy disturbances in this sector. They will arrive in approximately 8 hours. By then, you need to decide whether you are victims of an accident or witnesses to a crime. Thyax looked around at his crew, seeing the same realization in their faces that he felt in his crystalline core. The humans had not just rescued them from immediate death, they had rescued them from being murdered by their own government to cover up illegal weapons research. What guarantees do we have? He asked. How do we know that exposing this information will not simply result in our deaths at Coalition hands? Captain Vasquez activated a communication device, and suddenly the bridge was filled with holographic displays showing dozens of alien species, all obviously listening to the conversation. Because, Commander, you will not be exposing this information alone. Representatives from 47 different species are currently receiving the same data we are sharing with you. The Coalition cannot silence everyone. Dr. Nalara swam closer to her tank's edge, her aquatic features showing amazement. You planned this. The rescue, the exposure, all of it. You knew what we would find in the void sector. We have been monitoring Coalition activities for 50 years, Dr. Chen confirmed. We knew about the weapons research, but we needed proof and witnesses. Your distress call provided the perfect opportunity. Thyax realized that humanity had just used their desperation as a weapon against the very organization that had quarantined them. The humans had turned a rescue mission into a galactic revolution, exposing corruption and illegal activities while demonstrating their own superior capabilities. The price of our help, Captain Vasquez said quietly, is justice. Not just for humanity, but for every species that has been lied to by the Coalition. The quarantine ends today. The secret research ends today. The age of Coalition control over Galactic civilization ends today. As the implications of their choice crystallized in his mind, Thyax realized that sending an SOS to Earth had indeed come with a price, but perhaps for the first time in galactic history, it was a price worth paying. The humans had not just saved their lives, they had saved the galaxy from its own government, and now there would be consequences that would reshape the stars themselves.